Hello and welcome to Mumblecast, the oddly structured, poorly researched podcast extravaganza. My name is Liam and as always I'm here with my co-host Kayla. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Good.
How are you feeling today?
Good.
What day is it today?
It's Labor Day.
So you guys may not be hearing this for a couple of weeks, but we are here on Labor Day and we're doing our podcast. Yes. What have we done today? We've been to the gym today and that's it, haven't we?
Yeah, we went to the gym and that was it.
Yeah. That's only midday. No, it's 1. That's all good.
Yeah.
How's your week been? Much
right.
changed?
No, not much of anything.
Okay.
Just work.
Yeah.
Same for you?
Yeah, same thing really. Nothing too exciting going on, just plodding away. I'm trying to think if there's anything to tell, but no, not really. So what are we doing today? What are we talking about?
Savannah, Georgia.
What's that?
Have you ever been there?
Is that a place?
Yes.
Is Savannah a place or is Savannah like... It's like a city? Okay.
In Georgia.
Okay.
You've been to Georgia?
I've been to Georgia. I've been through Georgia.
Yeah.
Did I go to... No, we went to Jacksonville. We didn't to the
We went
airport.
to Atlanta.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I've been to Georgia.
So not Savannah, but we went to
Yeah.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Kayla and I took a road trip. I think you probably heard about this in the podcast if you listened to all our episodes, but maybe not this one.
It was a very long day of travel.
It was.
Oh my god.
We drove all the way from Houston to Atlanta and then flew back in the same day.
Yeah. Never recommend that.
No.
Like, that was a lot.
Kayla did all the driving because I don't know why. I did offer.
Sick.
Oh yeah, that was it. So, yeah, it was alright. And we took Sadie.
Yes.
The idea was taking Sadie to drop her off when Kayla was going to Japan. Which was well over a year ago now.
Yeah. Good times.
Oh yeah.
Not I mean, the trip was good, but
Yeah.
Japan.
No.
And I'm glad to be back.
Well,
We're
that
good,
road
we're
trip was
good.
better than whole of Japan.
I mean, it was fun.
Yeah, the road
Pretty
trip was
fun.
fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, Savannah, Georgia.
Yes.
What about Savannah, Georgia?
So, Savannah, Georgia is known as a very paranormal city in the U.S.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
There's a lot of ghost
So the
stories.
Paranormal Savannah, Georgia.
Yes.
Sounds good. In that
I've
case,
been once. Oh, sorry. In that case.
you've been once. Tell me.
No, we'll start first and I'll tell you.
Okay, in that case, let's
get
get ready to
Mumble.
mumble. Tell me, you've been once.
Yes, so I didn't do any of the ghost tours, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I don't do that kind of stuff.
What was the reason you went?
We went for vacation. We went to a place called Tybee Island, which is like off the coast, or further. It's like a little island, obviously. And then Savannah's like a 30-minute drive away, so we went to Savannah for the day just to hang out.
Is
It's
this
very,
you
very
and Drake,
hot.
or you and your family, or
Me and Drake and his
okay,
family.
okay.
It's very, very hot.
And how far away is it from where you lived?
Like 4 hours.
So you went there from his, or were you actually on vacation now?
Yeah, we went on vacation from with his family. We went on vacation to Tybee Island, and then we were
I
there
see.
for the week, and then took a day trip to Savannah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
They really good gelato.
That's just a little bit odd, but okay. I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah.
Before we get into the scary stories, what's it like? What's it look like? What's it? Because when people hear Savannah, they often think of that Savannah accent.
Yes.
The one that Brandon does.
Yes.
Yes. That's all I really know about the name Savannah.
That's a very
word.
common thing.
Did they speak like that there?
Like the older people, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, it's kind of like Charleston, which you probably haven't been to either.
Nope.
But okay, so there's like this street in the Heights that you can drive down, and the trees kind of like canopy over it, and it's just really pretty.
I know of streets like that. I can't think of the one you're
so
talking about.
it's
Yes.
like kind of reminds me of that. There's this one street that has like really big trees, and it's like old plantation houses, and yeah,
Like big wooden houses that have got a fair bit of ground to them, that sort of stuff. And the Savannah, like you said, it's a city. Has it got like big skyscrapers and stuff? Or is it all kind of
No.
smaller buildings?
it's all like smaller stuff, and it's on the coast, so it's a port
Oh, okay.
city.
How big of a port does Georgia have? Oh, a sea side does Georgia have? I don't even know.
It's on the
I'll look it up.
coast. It's on the coast.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And what is significant about this place then?
Is Georgia on the coast?
Yeah, it's on the coast. It's just top of Florida, so they've got, I don't know how far it is, but they've got a bit of coast.
Yeah, but
Before South
Savannah.
Carolina. Oh, Savannah's right on the top
Yeah,
north,
yeah.
yep, coast.
I couldn't remember if it was more inland when we drove.
Yeah, it's not like right on the beach, but it's there. And it's
Yeah.
got a sort of river that comes in. Do you know which river it is?
Savannah River.
Oh yeah, there we go.
So it's the oldest city in Georgia. So Georgia was founded as the 13th colony, and then it was founded as the first city of the 13th colony.
Okay.
So Savannah was established in 1733, so it's got a lot of history to it. And usually this is the bigger, older... In comparison to other places,
I sure that you guys
no.
know. Liam rolls his eyes.
Yes.
That was what there's Kayla's reaction.
But in comparison to other places, it's
Yes.
not as big of a history. But in the U.S., like it's a pretty old history, and because of that, I think that leads to a lot of the like stories and everything about like the ghosts and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, tell me about the ghost stories then.
Okay. So.
Because you said it's considered one of the most haunted places in America.
Uh-huh.
Did we mention that already? I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So in addition to like Salem, Massachusetts, and like New Orleans, and even I think Charleston, a lot of the old like slave town or slave cities that were like really involved in this like heavy slave trade or whatever, they tend to have like these bigger paranormal.
Yeah. Do you think that's through through the slave communities and like now the kind of ethnic minorities, is it pushed through them, or do you think it is through like the white plantation owners that had this sort of did they create this to scare their slaves, or do you think it's just
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
I think it could probably be a little bit of both.
Bit both, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that'd be something to do to try and scare them, and on top of that, they probably just kind of brewed that in their culture as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so slavery is like, so if you go through like the whys of like that being a hub of like this paranormal activity, slavery definitely plays a role in that. But I'm going to start with the first one is so like what I read, it breaks down into a couple of different sections of like different things that kind of left people like unsettled and not moving into this afterlife, which I don't even know if I believe any of this, but I don't know.
Especially after the post we just read.
Huh?
Especially after that post I just read to you.
I know. But I mean, I do get scared and hear voices, so maybe we should get that part out. So anyway, first is like there's a lot of like battles on like in this area. So you had
during the Civil War or just battles?
The Civil War was a big one. There was the Siege of Savannah. And that was in 1779, and that one killed 240 people and wounded another 600. So, out of like a newly established like town or city or whatever, that was like a pretty significant thing that happened.
You said 1779. Mm-hmm. So this is actually after the Civil War. When was the Civil War? Was it before the independence?
I don't know.
I assume you got independence.
Oh, I googled 1779. Not Civil War. No, it was... So, the Civil War is 1861 to 1865. This was before that.
So, the independence wasn't the Civil War.
Independence was from... Like, Civil War... Yeah,
Independence was freedom from Britain, and Civil War was the North and South.
Yeah.
But I thought one of them had a link to Britain. Obviously not. Okay, cool.
Yes. So... That was earlier, and then later on, so during the Civil War, like it was a huge, like that was a big, like area where they fought, and they captured General T. Sherman in Savannah, and that was like a big battle or whatever, and so there's like a lot of souls of unsettled soldiers, and then also skipping ahead a little bit, there's this cemetery that's called the Colonial Park Cemetery. It opened in 1750, and it was, I guess, the gravesite of like over 10,000 people, and a lot of them were mass graves. So it says that like a lot of like the souls or whatever, the spirits are just restless because of that, because they like weren't like actually like a final resting place. Yeah. It was just like probably not thrown into a grave, but like it was just a mass grave.
Is this from soldiers or this from like diseases? Or?
Well, that was I think that was diseases, and then during the Civil War, the federal troops used that cemetery as their headquarters, and like they weren't respectful of it. They like desecrated the tombstones. They like would damage the headstones, all of that. Yeah. So it said that like that led to a lot of like anger and resentment, and then which leads to like a lot of the paranormal activity in that specific graveyard too. Interesting. Yeah. So battles and like fights and everything, that's one of like the sectors of like why there's all these spirits and paranormal stuff. The next one is there's a lot of disease. So in 1820 the yellow fever epidemic came through Savannah, and 1/10 of the population was destroyed or killed. And then right after that, 9 more epidemics happened.
Yeah.
So lots of death and just like people dying and being unsettled and all that from yellow fever. I feel like I read a book called Yellow Fever. I don't remember.
Do you know?
Yes. After that, there was also a lot of fire. So right after, or in 1796, there was a fire that destroyed 229 houses and 146 buildings. So again, like recently after they were founded, big fire broke out. And then shortly after the yellow fever thing happened, like that epidemic, in January of 1820, a fire broke out in a stable and it destroyed 500 buildings. So it was saying that like a lot of the citizens were just like shocked and like didn't really know like what had happened, and like the ones that died, they're just like in the state of like perplexion, and that like kind of links their souls to the city.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know if it's true or not.
I can tell you it's not true, but it's interesting seeing the
like the
ideas behind
it. Yeah. 2 more. So there's murders. So there's a lot of different like famous murders. Have you ever heard of the book Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil?
No.
Okay, so it's a book that's written about a murder that happened in Savannah, and like a lot of different like sites and everything around there like are in the book. And so that one, like that's a famous one. And then in 1959 there were 3 sisters who were murdered. So it's just a lot of like weird murders and like some suicides and everything that kind of certain places become haunted there because of. And then slavery is the last one. So because it was a port city, Savannah played a really big role in the Atlantic slave trade, and like the whole area was very dependent on slave labor. So a lot of the stories are like suggesting that those slaves still seek vengeance on their captors. And then there was also like different things that happened, like a ship sank in 1854. It was a French ship that was picking up 71 slaves that had escaped. So it was picking them up and it sank in the harbor. And then like apparently sailors now and like people on boats still feel like a pull towards that direction. And then like they hear voices speaking in French and Bantu. So.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So those are like the whys.
The whys, yes. All right.
So give me your thoughts.
Well, I don't believe in paranormal activity at all. Okay. The biggest thing is if you didn't tell anybody of these things, would they ever experience it? And no, they wouldn't. No. Because it's all a fragment of your brain. Everywhere has death. Why would everywhere not have this, you know? Mm-hmm. I guess it seems like a hub, but is it really a hub? Or is it just...
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of misfortune. But, and again, it depends on your religion and stuff. And the whole thing about the cemetery is like, well, that totally depends on what you believe and how you're meant to be buried and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. But so I don't believe it's haunted. I don't believe in that ghost thing, but it's probably quite, it's got an interesting history for sure. Yeah. And it's quite a cold history. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't help.
So I'll go back and forth on the paranormal thing. Like, I don't want to believe it because it scares me. And I'm scared of things like that. But then, like, you watch, like, Mythbusters. No, not that one either. Ghost Hunters. Uh-huh. Like, the weird shows on, like, Sci-Fi and things like that where they go in and they, like, have their cameras set up and then they, like, go into these, like, insane asylums or things like that and they're like, oh, look at that heat wave over there and cold spot and...
Yeah, but I mean, like,
then I get scared.
They fake reality TV. Why do they not think they would fake this?
I guess so.
And that stuff happens all the time. Like, just generally, these heat and cold spells and that. There's no such thing as paranormal activity. There's no ghosts. There's no. You would know about it.
Don't be mad at me.
There is 6 billion people in the world. There would be more sightings of it if there was. There might be people that die restless. Apparently restless. That's why I don't be afraid of it. Like, I'm more afraid of there being aliens, or more afraid of like a shark in the sea than I am of any sort of paranormal activity. Like, hands down.
I definitely would think I am too, especially like a shark.
Like, even aliens are so unrealistic, but that's a little bit more scary than actual bloody ghosts. And if there are ghosts, how or why can they hurt you? They can't hurt you.
Yeah, and it's like, it also just...
Also, a lot of it requires belief in religion or certain parts of religion, which I don't. So that almost limits my potential belief in paranormal activity.
Yeah, I don't know. It still just scares me. I've watched too many scary movies. I think that's what it comes down to for me.
I've watched a lot too, and like there's definitely jump scares, but I very rarely leave them thinking, "Oh man, this could happen to me," or "Oh, what if that creature is real?" It's like
I watched Paranormal Activity, and then I was at my dad and Victor's house watching it, and then I went to the bathroom and they had the same towel hanging up, and then I got really scared. And then Drake wrote backwards on the mirror.
Yeah.
Like he took a shower first and he wrote backwards on the mirror, and then I got even more scared.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, is it what is that about your brain that is drawn towards believing that sort of stuff? Is it just
overactive imagination?
Well, that's what I say. Yeah, it's not really. It's not the lack of logic thinking and stuff. It's just you look at every different aspect of these things,
and that's why I dream more than a lot of people. I think my imagination just runs wild.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So tell me a bit some of the specific ones. Have you got them or?
Yeah. So these are like the actual like places that you can go to. So yeah, these are some of the different places you can go to if you would like to potentially experience these things. These are also places you will never catch me in. The Hamilton Turner Inn. So this is the setting of The Night in the Garden of Good and Evil, which I haven't read yet, and I'd like to. So apparently, so this one of the guys, I can't remember his name, Danny something, I think, Danny Hansford. He died in this house or was murdered in this house. And so apparently now, like if you go there, you can hear like children laughing, like billiards rolling around on the upper floors, sightings of like there's been sightings of the strange like cigar smoking man sitting on the roof.
Okay.
So that's just I looked up a picture of it, and it looks just like a house. Like it's just like a
Is
old
any pictures
like
of the sighting
type house. I don't know.
Of course, it's not. It's a ghost.
I didn't look at any.
Okay.
I don't want to look at any.
What was the house called? Sorry.
The Hamilton Turner Inn. So it just looks like a big mansion almost, like a kind of boxy type thing. I think that was the one I looked at.
Okay.
The next one is called Marshall House. So this is one of the most haunted hotels in the U.S. since 1851. So apparently the reason it's haunted is because it was used as a hospital 3 times. Once was during the Civil War for Union soldiers, and twice was during the yellow fever epidemics.
Okay.
So just like a lot of unrest and spirits not crossing over. Mm-hmm. So apparently people hear ghosts in the hallways, non-existent children running down the halls, and then faucets turn on by themselves.
Okay, interesting. Do you think people, like, if that happens and people get scared, do you think they actually get scared, or do you think it's just a weird event that happens? Like, do you think people are like, oh, I'm not gonna stay here, I'm hearing children that aren't here?
I think that at this point, like in the beginning, it was probably scary, but I think at this point, you go there to
experience that.
Yeah. Like, I think, like,
which is even worse, because then, anyway.
Yeah. Then it just monetizes it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that people go stay at this place in hopes of seeing these things.
Yeah.
Which, that is insane.
Yeah, it was like that. Do you remember we watched a couple of episodes of that House in the Haunted Hill?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Or something like that. And there was that guy that went around and spoke to people, and he was like, no, none of these are true, I just use your stories for my books. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
Next one was 1790 Inn and Restaurant. So this is, again, like a bed and breakfast restaurant type place.
Was that the date, or was that the name of the restaurant?
It's the name of it. It's like 17, the number, and then the word 100, and then the number 90.
Okay.
So it's like weird written. Inn and Restaurant. So it's a B&B and a restaurant. And so they apparently have a ghost of a woman, a ghost of a slave cook, and a ghost of a servant boy. So apparently, like, people have heard the ghost, like, banging on pots and pans, and then, like, sometimes they, like, get glimpses of the servant boy just during dinner, like, while they're, like, just normal, like, patrons eating.
Yeah.
And then the upstairs has, like, the B&B, and that's where you see, like, the girl, Anna, who apparently, like, I think she was either murdered or killed herself, I'm not sure, but she was, like, longs for her long-lost love or whatever. So she was married to a guy and didn't love him. She loved the sailor, and like that was her whole story. So like that's her unsettlement or whatever. But yeah. So then there's the Pirate's House. So this used to be a saloon and like a stopover for sailors, and is now a well-known restaurant. And its history is just like in the basement they used to like drag men down and force them to become sailors and like pirates, not good sailors.
Yeah.
And like it would just be very brutal. So like that kind of is the reason that they're still there.
Yeah.
the Kehoe house, Kehoe house. This is just like a family house. They had 10 kids, which is a lot of kids, and 2 died in the house. And so apparently you can, like, it's now a bed and breakfast, and you can hear like the ghost children. Mm-hmm. But prior to becoming a bed and breakfast, it was a funeral home.
Okay.
So again,
so the house that these kids lived in, they lived in a funeral home, and then it became a bed and breakfast.
No, it was a house, and then a funeral home, and then a bed and breakfast.
Oh, okay.
But again, it was probably like, honestly, it probably became a bed and breakfast because it had this history of, like, and I think that's how a lot of these things happen. Like, there probably were like these, like, a few of these like ghost stories, and like the cemetery, for instance, like with the desecrated headstones or tombstones and all of that. And then it's like, ooh, let's find all these different places that are linked to these like brutal or like these like you said, like cold past, and then let's make a restaurant or an Airbnb or whatever so that people can come and experience this.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely in an environment where you need to, if you're living off sort of people coming through the door, having that little extra feature will help.
Yeah.
And so it's, like, I highly doubt the people that work there believe in it.
Yeah.
You know?
But they probably play it up like crazy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah. And the last one is Moon River Brewing Company. So at this one, there's a lady wearing white at the top of the restaurant staircase, goes through bottles and just like play tricks on the staff. And then apparently the basement and upstairs have the most paranormal activity. Mm-hmm. But so this one just kind of sounds like Casper, like this, like the ghosts that just like play tricks on you. So I don't know. That's And there's all kinds of ghost tours you can do. Like you can like everywhere. You can just like, that's like the thing to do. You go to a ghost tour.
I think any place with like a long history has these sort of things. Like Edinburgh's got almost every city in Britain's got them, you know, and they have even a longer history, so there's more stuff you can feed off and go from. And I don't know. For some reason, there's very few places in America that I look and think in my head, oh, that would be haunted, because again, it's not old enough to me. You know, it's like, oh, 1700s, that's not that old.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it needs to be at least 1,000 years old, or at least, you know, the early 1200s, you know, something like that. Which I know doesn't make sense, because the length of time does not requires, if you did believe in ghosts, it could be 10 days since death, you know, exactly. So it doesn't need that timeline, but so yes, that sounds good. Would that somebody go to Savannah? No. Do I have any other reason to go to Savannah? I don't know. Is it nice enough to go?
I mean, it's fine. There's other places.
Would I go on a ghost tour where, if I went there, I don't know, I'd have to be in sort of a mood where I'm just like an open-minded mood, because I'm not always in an open-minded mood.
You'd have to go in the mindset of like, I'm just gonna go laugh at this.
It's almost like I'm just gonna enjoy this play, this sort of, you know, act that they're putting on. Yeah, I guess that's true. Because sometimes they do tell quite interesting stories, you know, and it's, even if it's a fake story or, you know, elaborated, it's still pretty interesting.
Well, it's cool because you still learn the history. Like, the history of it isn't made up, so like you get that part at least. Because like, I know the one we went on in Edinburgh, like the history of like where they like lived above the different houses and like the big common areas and like the fires and all that, like that did happen. Yeah. And whether or not there's ghosts there now or not, like that was kind of like secondary to like learning about the history of the city that we're walking around in. So,
did you go into the vaults in Edinburgh?
Was that like the locked? It was
almost
cemetery?
Like catacombs underneath. No.
Oh, no,
that's
I
not
didn't
the
do
one.
that one.
Yeah, okay.
These were like above.
In the old town, you kind of got the way it's built. You've got these kind of big arches, but they're all kind of filled in, but not really. And there's like spaces, and they're called the vaults. And
maybe
it used to be where like the working class would kind of stay and sleep and live, and that's they take you tours down there. And it's just these kind of dark dungeony looking places. Okay. It's kind of cool.
I feel like we did that, but it was like up. Maybe it wasn't. I don't remember.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. But the thing is, if you go right down to what we'd call the Grass Market or Canongate, you would technically go up into some of them. But then
maybe that was it. But I remember they said like it was like all like stone and everything, and they had would have like fire or like straw and everything to sleep on, and then like somebody would drop a torch, and then the whole thing would catch on fire and everybody would burn. Yeah. So like those kind of things.
That's like the vaults. Yeah. What I was thinking about that restless stuff you want about is like, what if there was something that made you be in the afterlife, there needs to be some rules behind it. Surely it's like because everyone's resting. Very few people ever die nowadays, especially satisfied.
Yeah.
You know, even more so now because there's so much more to desire or want.
Yeah, I say we. This was just on the Harry Potter podcast that I listened to too. Like, shout out to the Quibbler.
The Quibbler.
Yeah.
Is that one of the name of the newspapers or something in Harry Potter?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't remember. But they were talking about how like they have like these ghosts within Hogwarts, like Nearly Headless Nick and like the Bloody Baron and all of those, and they had these like past or whatever, and even like one of the teachers, like I don't remember his name, but he like in the first book it talks about how he like he's teacher of history of something, and he's like this like old like droning person, and then like one day he like his life is so like mundane and monotonous that one day he like dies and just like wakes like gets up from his body as a ghost and goes to class and teaches and doesn't even realize that he's dead dead there. So like it's like what and like Moaning Myrtle, like what makes certain people who died become ghosts, but like Cedric Diggory dies and he doesn't become a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
So like at what point is there that like does it have to be something super like bloody and like traumatic, or does it because like that other teacher just died in his chair, so even in Harry Potter it's not explained.
And why is it like why would it have to be bloody and devastating for it to
count
create that? Because surely because they used to say like a lot of it's based on like limbo and like that sort of sins and not sins and you're not being ready or this or that, and but I don't know. That's interesting. I didn't know Savannah was a hub for that.
Yeah.
I guess you probably guessed the East Coast somewhere would be that. Well, all of them are the East Coast, but that's just because history lies there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We should maybe do some other haunted things at some point.
Yeah.
So guys, listen, let us know if you'd like us to go into a little bit more detail about maybe a specific haunting within Savannah or a specific haunting elsewhere in the world. So did you have a top rated? Like the top...
those were like the top rated ones to go to. Those were the top rated ones to go to like on your own, and then like obviously they push the tours, but in each of the tours usually goes to like one or two of these.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
no doubt they stop off at the brewery because they'll have some sort of deal and blah blah blah. And so the top 10, I'm just looking here now at the top 10. Well, at the very first Google top 10 haunted places in America. You got Charlotte, North Carolina. Boston, Massachusetts, as you mentioned. Charleston, South Carolina, as you mentioned. Chicago, Illinois, which I'm kind of surprised at. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that would be in there. Yeah. Washington, D.C., Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. New Orleans. Yes. Portland, Oregon. San Antonio, Texas. Maybe, I don't know where that's from. That's an odd one.
Yeah, I don't understand a lot of these.
San Francisco. Why was San Francisco? Because Alcatraz?
I don't know.
And Savannah, Georgia's on there as well.
Yeah. Some of those I don't know.
Huh. These top vampire destinations.
Yes. We'll do that next.
Oh no. So ridiculous. Transylvania's there. What a surprise. Transylvania. Prague. Haunted hotels in America. Wow.
Nope. There's this one hotel or like haunted house thing that you can go to where it's like levels, and if you and like they can like touch you in this one, and if you like make it to all the way through it, you win something.
Why would you not be able to make your way through it?
Because it's terrifying. You told me like 2 years ago you've never been to a haunted house.
But that's not because I'm scared. It's because honestly, aren't scary.
Yes, they are.
But if nothing can hurt you, what's scary about it?
You go to one this year.
Wait, one of the ones in Houston at Halloween.
And I'll go to a bar and we can talk about it after.
You come with me.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, we'll come with you.
No.
And we'll both put a diaper on and see whose diaper's driest at the end.
No. Negative.
No? Okay. So guys, let us know. We can maybe do some hauntings around other places. We can maybe try Europe. Or we can maybe come with like a story each for Halloween this year. And see who's got the most haunted story.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, we'll do that. So that's in a month and a bit time.
Yeah.
We'll come up with 1 or 2 stories and who's got the most haunted story. All right. You got anything else to add to this week?
Nope.
I think it was the more poops and not poops that I had. Some more music came out this week, but I've not. I can't remember if I've listened to anything.
Oh, I have it's another shit hit.
Oh yeah, what's that?
It was more of a shit and less of a hit.
Oh, no.
But I didn't hate it completely.
What was it?
Aladdin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. So we both watched that together.
But I didn't like it.
Yeah, so we watched the new Guy Ritchie Aladdin for Disney, the live action version. It was the best thing about it was the thing I was dreading the most, which was Will Smith. I thought Will Smith did a really good job at the genie. Like, mad props him, because that's big shoes to fill. Mm-hmm. And I think he absolutely nailed it for the most part. One or two things were a little bit weird, but for the most part he nailed it. And it almost felt like everybody else wasn't acting with him. Yeah. Like, I know the idea of the genie is a little bit outside the box compared to everyone else, but like Aladdin was dull, Jasmine was dull, Jafar even was dull. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, nobody's got any real personality in this. Like, I know they're just reciting an old movie.
Yeah.
But for something that could have so much colour and so much, I don't know, je ne sais quoi, I don't know, it's like sort of flourish to it. It felt a bit dry.
I agree. It was, I did like all the scenes with him. And like the Prince Ali where they like came in, and it's like, I think that Aladdin, and I remember in like the old movie, like Aladdin it's about Aladdin. Like it's about Prince Ali, but like the genie stole the show for sure. And
he did kind of in the original animation as well, but like I feel like Aladdin had a bit more back and forth with the genie, and it was a little bit more cheeky. And I think this guy was very cheeky. Mm-hmm. He was very somber and like, oh, pity me. And then she was a bit like that as well with her. Mm-hmm. Like they gave her. So if you haven't seen it, guys, spoiler. They've given Jasmine more of a role with being like an empowered girl.
Girl power.
It takes away a little bit of the kind of soft princessness that the previous movies have had. So some people are viewing it like, oh, but I don't feel it's not like as much of a dreamy princess, which some people are saying is good, but also means like some people feel like, oh, well, I can't be a princess and be a strong woman. I have to be one or the other, and it seems you have to be rough all around. You know, you can't be both.
Yeah.
Rough or smooth. But either which way, the genie did a good job. They probably will make a second one, like Return of Jafar or something.
Yeah.
I didn't like Jafar.
Remember the movie.
Jafar sucked.
Yeah, he wasn't very good.
He wasn't old enough. He wasn't mean enough. He had a high pitched voice. Jafar was skinny in the main movie.
He was but he was tall and he just was tall and intimidating. But this guy was just kind of
you mean in the movie? Yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant in like new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was like, he didn't seem any taller than anyone else. He didn't seem intimidating.
He was just kind of just like small.
And I guess you try to make it more realistic, so it's going to be someone more. But that character, or those characters, and the sort of the nuances about them was what made it so interesting.
He wasn't menacing.
He wasn't menacing at all. You didn't feel threatened by him at all.
No.
Where even though Jafar has a bit threatening too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so guys, I wouldn't say not watch it. It's probably better than Dumbo and possibly better than Jungle Book, depending on what you like or not.
Yeah.
And we're going to maybe. And Kayla says she wants to watch Brightburn with us this week, so we'll get a report on that next week.
Yeah. Absolutely don't.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for that report.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week with something else.
Yep.
All right. I've been Liam.
I'm Kayla.
And this is Mumcast.
Bye.
Bye.